Ada!
Ah, hi, Robert family. How's everybody doing today? Exactly 15 minutes after TLC, we're back. Jean Paul, myself, saying hi to all of you. The last pay per view of the decade. Jean
Yep, it
Paul,
sure
heck.
was.
Yeah,
Did it
and
live? Did it
TLC.
live up to the hype? Don't think so.
We're gonna find out, right? We're gonna find out. Before always we go through the pay-per-view. Thank you to everybody that has been following. We have new subscribers, so I want to just say thank you to Johnny Moran. He just subscribed today. I want to say hi to Kirsty. I want to say hi also to Eric Umet and John Buller. Those are the new subscribers. Thank you so much.
Yep.
We
Thank you, guys.
appreciate the love. Thank you, and thank you for trusting us in this initiative that we do. So, Jean Paul, what are your impressions of the pay per view? Did you like it? Did it live to the hype?
Nah. The matches that I thought, like the Buddy Murphy, Aleister Black match was a good match. Like some of them were good. Nothing was really spectacular, and it was just a normal for me, a normal run of the mill WWE pay per view. It was all right at best. There were some spots that were good, but most of it was if you missed it, you don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah, I mean,
watch
like,
rope break instead of watching the pay
yeah,
per
watch
view.
Road Break, because it was like 3 hours that, it is not that memorable. I think the pay
Yeah,
per view, for the last one of the year, I think it was decent because we've seen way worse pay per views. Like last year's was really bad, like the TLC 2018 was god awful.
yeah, yeah. Besides just
And
that main event, the Oscar, that
yeah,
match was good.
Asuka,
Yeah,
Lynch, and Charlotte. Can you imagine that? Probably they did that to this year because of they remember, to
yeah.
reminisce 2018 and everything. So we're gonna go over everything. And Jean Paul, start us off. Let's start it out right now.
So in the pre-show, we had Humberto Carrillo versus Andrade, and I didn't hear any rumors or anything about this being the pre-show match, and this was the only match on the pre-show, and it was definitely better than their match on Monday Night Raw. But Humberto, he got beat down early on in this match. Andrade like really stayed in control, and then every time Humberto, tried to mount a comeback, Andrade would just counter. He hit a huge stomp onto Humberto and he's draped over the ropes onto the apron. He hit the huge stomp. And like Andrade just had control. And then towards the end, it got.
He got
It,
busted open though, right, Jean Paul? He got
yeah, there
busted
was.
open.
I didn't see the exact spot, but he got busted open, like I said, because Humberto would try to like have a little bit of offense, but it was mostly Andrade. And then they set up that spot where he was going to hit Zelina again,
Oh
just
yeah,
right
yeah.
like on
Then
Monday
he
Night
goes like,
Raw.
yeah,
And
he
then
goes like this.
yeah, and then he's like, no, he told her to get off the apron, and Humberto tries to roll him up, how he won on Monday night. He kicks out, and then I think Humberto just hit him. I think his finisher is what, just a moonsault?
This is the moonsault, but
Yeah,
Umberto did like a reverse Frankensteiner from the top
yeah,
rope, and then he set it up for the moonsault for the 1, 2, 3. The match was intense. It was
mhm,
good, like you said. Like they had like Almas was trying to go for like the stomp. Umberto does his own moveset. If knowing what those two can do, I think it would have been a lot better than what they did. But like you said, I think it was better than the Monday Night Raw match.
yeah.
But
It
I
was
would
def-
I would have gave the win to Almas.
yeah, and
So I
also I
don't
would,
understand.
yeah. Like I don't. That's what I mean because it's like he won on Monday Night Raw, and then when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is just for Almas to get his win back to kind of continue this feud. But then they had it where Almas lost again.
Yeah,
So I'm like, I don't know if this
and
is
clean.
just, yeah, maybe this is because you know how Vince McMahon loves these like affair storylines, and I think storyline wise, they try to act like there's something going on between Zelina and Andrade,
Yeah,
even
like
though I don't think there ever was. It's always just been like a manager role.
yeah.
I don't think they were ever on screen a couple. So I know Jerry Lawler was trying to say, oh, maybe this is like a Lashley situation and she's going to go to Humberto and all that. But like again, like I said, I don't know if that's the angle they're trying to go for. I hope not, because I don't want to see that storyline 2.0. I don't want to see a Spanish soap opera, on
Why
Monday Night
not, Jean
Raw.
Paul? The Spanish soap operas are really good. I can hook you up with so many of them.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, I'll just watch them from you. I'll watch the legit ones. If I'm gonna
Yeah,
watch
that's
Raw,
true.
I'll see wrestling. But yeah, you can send me those links later. But
I
anyway,
agree. I agree with you.
yeah, yeah.
Like I don't understand why they would like split Almas and Vega, just because like they two go together so well. Like,
Yeah.
and you always said this in your reviews with Monday Night Raw, so please watch that on our channel. So do us a favor. She and him should be pushed, like in the United States Championship. She should be key, like, and at that time, Universal on WWE Championship. He doesn't
Yeah.
need to go doing these things of pre-show. Humberto is like, why Almas have to fight only Hispanic people? Can
Yeah.
you,
The only
can you
if
fight
you
the other
want to,
dudes?
yeah, and if you want to have like Zelina leave Andrade, it should have been they should have feuded Andrade with Aleister Black, and
Yes,
then she should have left him for Black, and then it could have been like you could have tied into the real life thing, and then
yes.
she could have betrayed Black, like she could have sided with him for a little bit while their feud's going on, and then at the blow off betray him and go back to Andrade, and Andrade wins, and then it's like you
It's
build
good.
up a yeah, you could have did some really interesting storyline stuff, but instead we're getting this with Humberto, and that
It
was
doesn't
pretty
really
much the
make any
pre-show.
sense, and yeah,
Yeah.
well, the match itself it just belonged to the pre-show. So we go to the main show now.
Yep, to the main
Revivals
show.
stars,
Yep,
yeah,
the Revival and the New Day in a ladders match, and apparently, just a little bit before going into this, this was supposed to be Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler
yes, yeah,
versus the New Day, but since Bobby Roode had that suspension for 30 days, it was the Revival. So, and usually when WWE they have a sub in, like somebody gets hurt or whatever reason, they take and they sub someone else in. More times than not, they'll give them the title, just like a weird to try to swerve the fans. But and
yeah.
and, and we were actually hoping for that, but
We
with all the
called it.
things, yeah, with all the things, the Revival, we were hoping that they would win, but then at the end of the day, we got what we got. So to take it through some of the highlights, all four men take it to the outside early on. They brawl around the ring. The Revival lays out the New Day. And there was that spot where Kofi, he tries to counter and he does that baseball slide, but they like chop him with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ladder. And then Kofi uses a crossbody on the ladder then, and he takes out the Revival. And the tug of war spot with the New Day and Big E, or with the Revival and Big E with the ladder. I thought that was kind of dumb because it's like you're telling me the two of those men couldn't overpower Big E with the
Yeah,
ladder. But
that's when I think he almost like he was caught on into the ladder also, correct? And then
yeah,
he falls, and then you could see they were like, "Oh, he's injured. Be careful, Biggie might be injured."
yeah. Because then Big E he splashes the ladder, like
Yeah,
splashes onto the ladder, but then like Dawson was on it and he
yeah,
rolls out and then he splashes it, so he takes himself out with the ladder. Dawson kicks the ladder and it sends Big E crashing down hard, and
yep,
then they slam and drop kick the ladder into Big E's crotch. I don't know if you remember that part
yeah.
when they
Oh
had him
yeah,
on the
yeah. They
rope.
did
Yeah,
they did two low blows. Yeah, it
yeah,
was two of them. It's like it's a Corey Graves. They mentioned two low blows right there with the ladder. Yeah, while
yep.
he was just standing there in the turnbuckle. Yes.
And then Kofi fights back and he gets a slingshot or slingshots, and then the ladder into the faces of the Revival. The New Day works over Dawson's knee in midsection. The Revival takes out Big E, and they try to push down the ladder, but Kofi counters and takes out both men. He starts to climb, but the Revival hits a shatter machine on
See, that
him.
was a nice spot when
Yeah,
they
I
did
like
that.
that.
We called that. We called that,
Yeah,
but they didn't do it from the top of the ladder. But at least
yeah,
it
that,
was
that could
something.
from the top of the ladder. Like, I mean, it would have been legit, but you got to think if they do that, come crashing down,
Yeah, oh yeah.
somebody
Yeah,
would have
because
got
it
hurt.
kind of looked, yeah, when they did it, kind of looked sloppy. But I know the complexity of the move, so
Yeah, they got to
it
try
would
to
have been really
protect
difficult
themselves.
to hit that really good. But yeah, they did that.
And then Big E makes the save, and spears Wilder through the second ropes to the outside. Big E
A
sets up.
hellacious spear by Big E.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, thanks, Michael Cole. And
yeah,
then Big E he sets up two more ladders in the ring, one upright, and then he bridges one like into the second turnbuckle on the rope. Dawson hits a superplex, and then followed by Wilder hitting a splash on a Big E across the ladder. And
And
at
see,
this,
I don't, in that spot, like they were selling it like, oh, he couldn't get any of it because you saw how Big E kind of went, he didn't even hit the
yeah,
ladder at all.
yeah, and
And they
that
were
was like
like,
a
oh,
theme. That was a theme of the night, I thought. In all these TLC matches, there was a lot of where guys wouldn't just go through the ring. They were like either protecting themselves or it was just sloppy. Nobody really hit, besides a few spots with power bomb through the tables and stuff. Nobody really hit what they were supposed to hit solid. They just grazed the table or grazed a ladder, and it's like,
yeah,
or is it sloppy, or are they just trying to protect themselves, or what's going on? But
it's the end of the year, we want to like
yeah.
enjoy Christmas. Yeah, it was, yeah, you're absolutely right.
But then pretty much towards the end of this thing, Big E, he hits the big ending on Wilder from on top of the ladder. That was probably my favorite spot of this match.
Really, yeah.
And then Kofi, I believe it was like soon after this or before, he like springboarded, like leaped onto the ropes.
Yeah, he leaped onto the ropes, and then he was on the ladder. Yeah,
and then Dawson, and they knock down Kofi, and he has his like foot hanging so he doesn't fall off the ladder. So he's just kind of hanging there limp, and Dawson is taking what I feel literally feels like forever to just grab these titles and win. And then he was just like waiting for Kofi to wake up, because Kofi wakes up, knocks him down, and done.
And then done. Yeah. So I mean, the match, like we did in our previews and predictions, it was decent. Yeah, but like you said, like you could tell that throughout the whole pay-per-view, there were some spots that like were actually the timing was not really good. It was very off. And like, for example, you mentioned this about Dawson. He's like, can you just grab the title and win? And he's just waiting for Kofi to wake up. It's like, come on. Yeah, make me believe that this is true.
It wasn't even like a heel move, because in like later on in the main event, when the Kabuki Warriors, like maybe by midway through the match, when they had, the faces beat down, they were like mocking them by climbing the ladder real slow, but that wasn't anything like this. This was the end of the match. Both guys were beaten down. Like, you don't just like a cat, like pawing at a toy. Yeah, you don't try to reach
like that. You should have just gone and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I don't know if that was timing on Kofi, who didn't get it up, but for me, the match, it should have been better, and it could have been better, but I wouldn't doubt if the Revival, they might have been like, why should we give it all? Or,
yeah, I mean, like,
sacrifice everything, or
I just don't. I just don't understand why they will put that much effort. They're going to lose anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I mean, if they would have won the championships one more time, which we're predicting, that's what they should have done instead of staying with the New Day. But of course, they gotta give Kofi their consolation prize. I think that's what it is. Yeah, like, hey, you were the WWE champion, and now you're not, but at least you were the tag champion. So keep
exactly.
It. Yeah. So moving along, John Paul. We got a promo from Baron Corbin, right?
Yep.
He says that like he's gonna show the big dog. He's gonna show who the master of the big dog is. Talking about Roman Reigns and his match for the TLC, and then we get to probably the best match of the night. Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy.
Yep, Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. And then when Murphy, he comes out first, he kind of mocks Aleister Black, doing like his sit down in the ring and all that. And even when the match starts, he mocks him. A Black Mass attempt early on was dodged. Black takes over with arm drag takedown, and he starts to wear down Murphy. Murphy makes a comeback attempt, but Aleister, he still keeps advantage early on until Murphy catches a kick while Black's on the apron, and then he slams Black into the steps. Black tries to make a comeback. Murphy sends him over the ropes to the outside. And the main story was how every time like Murphy, he got like some offense, he was kicking Black like in the face. So it was his jaw, his face, his nose, and I believe he was busted
to the point that he was bleeding. To the point that he was bleeding also. Yep.
And this is like a lot of, there was chair spots, table spots, and all this, but this match, I thought, was one of the stiffest ones and the most hard hitting out of all these matches. They were legit hitting each other.
Yeah,
and the same thing with the pre-show match. Andrade, he's stiff. He lays those moves in there.
I've said to you, Jean Paul, like if there's somebody that should use the Judas effect, he should be Almas. When he does the back elbow, that sounds, boom.
Yeah, he does that back elbow like he's in a legit street fight somewhere, not like Jericho, who's like tickling your chin with it.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, get down. Yeah, so yeah, it was good. It was a good match. I really enjoyed it. Like there was also the spot with the Shining Wizard that Black did of Murphy. There was a knee. There was a moonsault. There was a brogue kick by Murphy on the outside under the jaw. Yep. And then there was another moonsault from Aleister Black, a jumping knee, then a super kick on Black, and then he did a powerbomb.
Yeah, I like that spot where he has him like in a powerbomb, and then Black had like his head slumps through, and then he just like super kicks him like 3 times. Yep. Yeah.
He did 4 super kicks, yes.
And then when towards the end of this thing, then Murphy, he hits 2 huge knees and a brain buster for a 2 count. Murphy, at this point, he can't believe that he's, can't put Aleister Black away. And then right at the end of this thing, both men are fighting each other. I said it reminded me like a real-life Dragon Ball Z. That's what I put in my notes, because they're just punching and kicking and dodging, and it's like super fast, lightning strike.
They were exchanging punches, yes.
Yeah, it was like super legit. Like, it looked really awesome. but then just out of nowhere, black mass and done.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I see. I like that last sequence, and everything
yeah,
starts with the 4 super kicks, and then like you said, like the brain buster, and then the near fall, and then they like started changing punches. And it remind now that you say Dragon Ball, I really love that analogy because it's really
yeah,
how it is. The boom, 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 and then out of nowhere, boom, the black mass, and you could
yes,
tell it was done. I mean, I didn't want to see Buddy Murphy lose, but if there was a way to make him lose, probably this was the best way to make him
yeah,
lose.
because he looks super strong, and it was one of those things where the black mass is just such a protected finisher. Like when it's like a RKO. When he hits it, it's done. So that's the whole thing. It was like Murphy, and he didn't hit Murphy's law
Yeah,
as
that's
well,
what that's a good thing that he
which
didn't
I
do,
like. Yeah,
because
because when
then that finish is protected too.
because when he had him up, and before he hit the brain buster, I thought he was going to hit Murphy's law. And then I was like, oh shit, he's going to kick out of Murphy's law. And there goes, now you're killing his finisher. But they didn't do that, which I liked. So, and like we said, great match.
It was absolutely great, and like I said, both of these men had a great showing. And see, for example, if you want to also build up Aleister Black through Buddy Murphy, that was the best thing that you could have ever done. Because
Mm-hmm.
see, both of these men at least had a great showing for the end of the year, for the end of the decade. So let's see, and let's hope that 2020 is better for these guys. Because both of them have the talent. Now, I wouldn't say charisma much, but like at least, they're able to produce great matches. If you
Yeah,
know how to make them look
yeah,
good
and you
when
could
it
even
comes to micro and everything.
and you could definitely continue this feud. You could have Black in a match, like tomorrow night on Monday, or even the following week, and Buddy Murphy could come out and attack him during his match or something, and be like, I want my rematch. This was bullshit. Blah blah blah. So you can definitely continue this feud if
Yeah,
you
oh
want
yeah,
to.
for sure, for sure. Then we get the Viking Raiders. Viking
Yep.
Raiders. They come out. They say we're gonna issue the challenge for the Road Tag Team Championships, and something that you predicted, Jean Paul. Unfortunately, and I'm not saying that I don't like your predictions, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying like
Well, I
it's
was gonna
so
say it,
predictable.
it wasn't my like real prediction that I wanted, but it was the one that was pretty obvious. I believe they might have even announced something that it like well, I don't think they like officially announced it, but the OC said that they were going to challenge them, but the
Yeah.
match wasn't set in stone.
So
But
yeah, the
yeah.
OC comes out,
Yeah.
and
And
they
they
answer the challenge.
Yeah, and the Raiders, they have advantage, and they start beating down Anderson early on in this match. Eric gets knocked down by the OC. I believe Gallows knocked him down or did something, and then the OC, they start to isolate him in their corner. Gallows hits a superplex, followed by an elbow. Gallows tags in Anderson, and then Eric is able to counter. He tags in Ivar. Ivar plants Anderson and hits a giant cross body. Gallows
Very
tries.
agile, very agile. Ivar is
Yeah.
very agile.
Oh yeah, for sure. For a man his size, and there was one point where he goes and he does that like the Ric Flair thing where he gets
Yes,
sent into
he,
the
he did
ropes.
like the
But
thing that like he bounces and then he goes on the outside, almost like the other side of the
yeah,
mat.
onto the apron. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then when he did that though, I believe he was like getting whipped into the ropes, and instead of
yeah,
like running like he was actually whipped, he like was almost walking into the ropes. It was like he'd like no sold the Irish whip.
yeah,
So then
yeah.
Ivar, he hits his springboard back elbows, which Kevin Dunn, he saved that move because the OC was not in position for that at all. I don't even think he hit their faces, but they did the camera
Oh yeah,
switch,
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah,
and then
yeah. You're right. Yeah, that was absolutely a botch. Yeah,
yeah,
botch.
so
And then they
and
hit the
then
Viking experience, right?
yep, our Thor's Hammer Viking experience on
That was hammer.
Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that gets broken up by Gallows. So this match continued on a little bit further. Eric gets sent over the barricade, and Ivar he jumps out to take the OC out of the match. Um, and that pretty much ends in a count out. Now, the one thing I wanted to ask you, because this was a decent match, it was quicker for me. It was decent enough because I knew that they were going to continue this feud with the OC because there's no tag teams on Monday Night Raw. They need to do some sort of feud. You can't do one-off matches, and just like they beat a team and then done. You need to have some sort of feud. But was Ivar the legal man, or who was legal at the
Oh,
end?
it
I
was
don't
Ivar.
know.
It was Ivar
Because
was the legal man.
If Ivar was legal and he's in the ring and he dives out of the ring at a 9 count, the count restarts.
Yes.
The count
Yeah. So
does
I
not
think like I
count.
think they messed that up.
So
I
they
think they
fucked that
messed
up
that up.
because I'm like, dude, what? Because it was like, oh, 8. I'm like, oh man, this match is gonna be actually decent. Like it's gonna keep going. He dives out and the ref is like, yeah, it's done. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
And
I'm
yeah,
like,
well, what
it's
I
done.
thought is like when they stopped the Thor's hammer, I was like, oh my gosh, the OC are gonna win the titles because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, how are they gonna do it? But then I remember that they had a KFC table, with the people eating, and
Yeah.
they kept showing shots of that. So I'm like, they're gonna do something with it. They're
Yep.
gonna do something with it, and that's what they. I think the Viking Raiders they put Carl Anderson onto the KFC table. They put him
Yeah,
through
because
it.
they tried to do the magic killer to Eric through the table, but then Ivar breaks it up, and then Anderson gets power bombed through the table.
Yeah,
So
on the KFC. I mean, the match was like you said. It was quick. It was decent. I mean, we've never said that the OC is not a good team.
no, and like
They're
that's
portrayed
the
really
same thing.
bad though.
It's the same thing with all these wrestlers. People said the same thing about Bailey's before Bailey turned heel. They said, "Oh, she's boring. Her championship reign has been awful and shitty." You can't. That's not her fault.
Yeah.
Just like it's not the OC's fault that everybody says, "Oh, since they've come to WWE, they've been shitty." They haven't been shitty. They've been booked shitty. It's not like they lost their talent. You
Yes.
know what I mean? It's not like these
Yes.
people get worse and they can't wrestle. It's just they're not booked. Because you
Oh
can't
yeah.
go out there and do what you want. Otherwise, you'll get fired. You'll get in trouble. You got to
And then
do
you
what
lose your livelihood. So
yeah,
yeah,
you got to
it's
do
not.
what you're
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, it's not that like you want to do that,
Yeah,
but it's just
exactly.
how it is. It's just how it is. They portray bad, and for that reason, I mean, that we will see of them as a joke. And of course,
Hmm.
the OC when they pair it with AJ Styles, we will think that like they're gonna be a winning staple, but they always lose.
Yeah, but now I guess to me, I think this is just a feud that's being held over until they're authors of pain. I think they're just holding it off until they can figure out the storyline, whatever is going on with Seth Rollins, and then I think it's going to be the authors of pain versus the Viking Raiders.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right because tomorrow I'm pretty sure Seth Rollins is gonna come out and they're gonna announce completely their alliance, meaning like they're gonna start like teaming up, and then they're
Hmm.
gonna start giving the authors of pain. They probably will have a match tomorrow, like an
Yeah.
enhancement match, and then they will start getting some wins because we gotta remind you and I gotta remind everybody else that tomorrow there's gonna be Monday Night Raw live, and after that show, whoever's in that audience attending, they're gonna have the other show also because they're taping it for the episode on the 23rd.
Oh,
So
so
like
those people get to sit there for 6 hours of Monday Night Raw.
yes. Well, they said around 5.5 because supposedly the show up the first the second show they don't have commercial break, so they're gonna
Oh,
go from like let's say the show ends at 11, they're gonna be leaving 1:30, 2 o'clock.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, lucky them. I wish I could sit there for 6 hours.
Yo, yeah, yeah. Hopefully the show is good because if not, they're gonna be suffering there for six
Oh
hours.
no, yeah, that was definitely some sarcasm there.
Yeah,
So then we get
that's the sarcasm right
then
there, and
we
then
get our main event that we are happy is not the main event.
that's
Roman
right.
Reigns versus Baron Corbin TLC match. You want to take us through this one quick?
Yeah, the match, like, yeah, well, of course, like we said that, like, we thought that this was going to be the main event, but thankfully, and even John Paul texted me, he's like, hey, this is the main event, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's 8:30, we can actually start recording soon. But the match started out by Baron Corbin came out, Roman Reigns, and then they started exchanging punches. Then I think they used the chairs. I didn't take too many notes, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, well well of course Roman. Okay, then Roman beats down all of Corbin's guards. Of course when he comes out,
See,
and
that's the part that I don't
yeah.
understand. Why is this man able to overpower 10 men?
Well, they got to make him look good. And like I said, but these 10 men are like Roman is, 6 whatever. He's tall, he's big, he's muscular. They have these dudes who are like 5, like 5'7", 5'8". Some of them
Me.
are big and
Midget.
jacked, but some of them are short and they're real skinny. Like who are you hiring to protect Baron Corbin?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
should be like other wrestlers but
It
so
should be like
so
Kid Lee. Should
yeah,
be
so
somebody like that.
guys
Yeah.
like that size. Yeah,
Yeah.
so Roman
They
beats
were,
down all of Corbin's goons, and then they start brawling through the crowd. Back in the ring, Corbin hits a deep six.
yeah, that's
Um,
part I did appreciate. It was a Div
yeah,
6. It was good.
and then Corbin, he rams a ladder into Roman, beats him down, and all of these spots when Corbin and even guys like I said in the first match with the Revival and the New Day, like when people just use these chairs and stuff and the ladders as weapons, it's very weak.
It's
Like
not
they're
it's not
not.
a good power. Yeah. I
Yeah,
wanna
like
yeah. That's a really great observation because they don't go with like the old days,
yeah,
boom. It's just like
yeah. They swing, and then when they're like maybe like 5-6 inches away, they like completely stop their momentum and then like
when
go
they're
really
about to connect, it's just like
yeah
goes and I
yeah.
don't really like that. I don't really like that.
One spot I really liked by Corbin was when he did a choke slam backbreaker onto Roman.
Yep.
I thought that spot was cool. Corbin mocks Reigns. He does his chant, and then he sends him into the corner, into the wedge chair. And then, this is Roman after he mocks Corbin, or after Corbin mocks Roman. Roman sends him into the chair that was wedged in the corner, hits a Superman punch for a 2 count.
And then he gets ready for the spear, and then all of a sudden Ziggler comes out with a chair, and then he throws the chair at Roman, and then it's a super kick, I think.
Yeah, that happened a little bit later on, but yeah, Ziggler, he sends the chair to Roman's face. He hits the zigzag, and then the Revival, they came out. That they were beating down Reigns a little early on when everything broke down. They hit a shatter machine on Roman, and then Corbin hits an end of days onto the chair. But like earlier, Ziggler was under the ring, and then he popped up and hit a super kick on the Roman. So then pretty much just now, I guess the Revival, since they had nothing to do with them and they're not signing new deals and anything, they're like, we're going to put you in, we're just going to make you Baron Corbin's like goons, his losers.
Like lackeys, yeah.
Yeah, his lackeys.
Lackeys, yeah. There was a decent spot also when Roman did a Samoan drop onto the announcer's table. See that?
That was a good
cool.
spot, yeah.
That was cool, but like, yeah, I mean, the match itself was like, we've seen this match so many times. I mean, they added the weapons and everything. There was the kendo stick, I believe, also. Like, they were using that. There were some spots with that. Do I really care for this? No.
No, and neither do I, because
the outcome, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the outcome just because I like to see Roman lose, but the only thing with that is now that he's lost, this feud's going to continue.
Yeah.
Especially with all the fighting and stuff that was going on later on in the show, everything backstage, so that this feud is going to continue to the Royal Rumble, and then Roman's going to win the Rumble, and then we know where he's going. And that
also,
takes us,
like what bothers me, like what you're saying is like why does he have to go back to be like the main event all the time? Meaning, like, he's like all his events, everything that Roman does is supposed to be featured throughout the whole show. Because after the match, they kept showing like the brawl out, backstage and everything, and even when the pay-per-view is over, they show more of that. I'm like,
exactly.
Like, come on,
that's because that, like I said, it wasn't the main event, but it had to be at least the main focus.
The main focus, the main story all the time. So we're going back to the Roman agenda, and that concludes the decade. Is the Roman agenda. So absolutely trashy for me. And then we get Jean-Paul. We get like something that we were really looking forward to see. We get The Miz and Bray Wyatt.
Yep. So this match, it wasn't too long. The Miz immediately he goes after Wyatt. He keeps kicking Wyatt. Bray, as he's just taking the Miz's offense, laughing, almost no selling it. Miz keeps hitting weak-looking offense. Because I don't believe Miz's offense. Like some of his kicks and stuff, when he does like these running knees into the corner, he doesn't even connect with the knees. Like he literally brings them up like this. Like if this is the Miz's knee and I'm Bray.
Yeah.
Like there's that much room in, but it's like this looks such like a weak spot. Like
like every
his
time
offense
he's
is
trying
so
to do
bad.
like Daniel Bryan's moves,
he
comes out very weak. And we just have to say also that Bray Wyatt came out as Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
And like the fan house and everything, and like you said, he came out with the Universal Championship.
Yeah, and that's what I like too. Yeah.
Imitate Mr. Roberts, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers, yeah.
Yeah, and he was like saying hi to the crowd, waving hi, and he came out really weak at the beginning, like you said, the kicks, the kicks and everything, and then the Miz kept going with the knees after that. Correct?
Yeah, and then Sister Abigail attempt was countered into a skull-crushing finale. Obviously,
and that him pin.
Yeah. Bray's laughing, and then he kind of gets him where he's like pulling back on the Miz's fingers and like pulling like his arm almost out of the socket. Wyatt's yelling and telling him to do it. So he like bends the fingers back, pops his shoulder out. So Bray rolls out of the ring, kind of slams his arm into the barricade to like sell it, like to get his shoulder back in the socket.
Yep.
And then Wyatt, the Miz sends Wyatt into the barricade after that, beats him down across the ring. Sister Abigail then delivered onto the Miz, who was draped. Miz was kind of draped over the barricade, and he does like a draping Sister Abigail. Miz makes it back into the ring at a 9 count, but then eats another Sister Abigail, and it's done. So like this whole match up until this point, it was like, okay, the best part about it was when Bray Wyatt came out, like you said, was waving to everybody and everybody was cheering him. He goes to enter the ring, like through the ropes, and then he stops, goes back out on the apron, waves, and the crowd cheers. I think he did that like 2 or 3 times, like
Yes.
toying with the Miz. That was the best part of this match because the match itself between the Miz and Bray Wyatt wasn't very good. It was all
It
just
wasn't
setting up.
very good.
It
And
was
I
just
remember
setting
you
up for
texted
what we
me,
got
if
here.
Daniel Bryan doesn't show up, this is going to be completely useless. And
Yep.
I absolutely agree with you. And hopefully, thankfully, well, there was like Bray Wyatt wins, and then you see in the Titantron, you see in the Fiend,
Yep.
and he's kind of like talking to Bray Wyatt. And it's like, you want me to do it? He's like, okay, I'll do it. And then he comes out of the ring, and then he pulls out like a big hammer, or what is it?
Yeah, like a giant mallet.
Like a giant mallet. Yeah, he pulls
Yeah.
out a giant mallet, and then he's about to beat the Miz with that. And then out of nowhere, a guy like wearing a hoodie. I thought it was Jean Paul because Jean
Yeah.
Paul used the same hoodie, and then he hits a running knee. So I thought it was Jean Paul. But then I see the running knee, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
It might have been who I'm thinking it will be. And then he pulls out the hoodie, and then is who?
Bryan Danielson from Ring of Honor. He's making
Yep,
he's an invasion angle. But no, so
the
Daniel
American
Bryan,
Dragon.
yeah, so he hits the running knee, the running drop kicks into the corner, knocks out Wyatt, and then he does like the stomp to the head. So he's just getting this whole, beating down Bray Wyatt. But then Bryan goes to use the mallet on Bray, and then the
Yes.
lights all go off. And then when they come back on, he's not there. He just slams the mallet onto the mat and, rolls out. So we didn't get, what we kind of were predicting, or at least what I was thinking that they were going to do, and maybe team up Bryan, make him like a member of the Funhouse, turn him heel, align him with the Fiend. They're going with Daniel Bryan, being face, and I think that's just because they want this match to be at the Royal Rumble. They're going to
Yes.
book them again. And then, like I said, it all leads to the Fiend and Roman because obviously you're not going to have Daniel Bryan win. I mean, that would be cool, but I don't want to see the Fiend be buried because a lot of people want to see the Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns main event. The WrestleMania match. They want to see them, because that match, we should have gotten it earlier this year. We should have gotten it how many years ago? But I only want to see that match if Bryan is going to win, and obviously he wouldn't. So,
It will be one spear
yeah.
and done. Or
Yeah,
at least
so
Brand will have to come up with like another like 24 security guards, the
yeah,
revival of Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin for him to win.
exactly.
But I agree with you. I feel that like the storyline, I would have much rather to see Bryan aligning with the Fiend. But I feel that like we got what we got because the Jens movement is back on track. He's
Mhm.
reborn. So everybody, like you said, is like yes, chance, yes, chance. Like he's completely like selling this. The crowd is loving it. So yep, right here on Rover, you can see it is like 50 minutes after the pay per view is over. We'll say the match at the Royal Rumble is going to be what? Daniel Bryan versus the Fiend.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the direction they're going. And my only problem with that is then what do you do with Daniel Bryan afterwards?
Yeah, I don't really know what will be
And
like the
also
program that they have planned for him. I don't
for
really
the
know.
for the Royal Rumble, like I know we said earlier how they're gonna have like at WrestleMania, they might have some NXT matches, but apparently in the Royal Rumble it's going to be 10, 10, and 10. 10 from
Okay.
SmackDown, 10 from Raw, and 10 from NXT. Now, of course, this is the rumor. The day of the Royal Rumble, they could say, okay, scratch that. We're gonna go with 15 and 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, oh, we'll put like a Keith Lee and a Dominic Dijakovic and like, Kyle O'Reilly. Like, we'll sprinkle some guys in here and there. Cameron
Yeah.
Grimes or whatever. But like, I don't know if they do what they do and they decide literally 10 minutes before the show. But those are just some of the rumors for the Rumble.
Yeah, the
But
rumors like adding a little bit more that you're talking about the rumors. There's the rumor that the number one for beating the odds is Roman Reigns.
oh yeah,
Yep, and then number
which
two.
does that surprise anyone?
I mean, it pisses me off because if he
Oh
wins
yeah,
again, I'm just not. It's going to be just terrible for the business. It's terrible for everybody that thinks that like Roman Reigns should win the Royal Rumble once again. Like they don't have enough like what happened in Philly 4 years ago when The Rock even came out to help him out. Everybody was pissed. The number two is the guy is CM Punk. A
to
lot of
win the
people are
Rumble.
thinking that CM Punk is going to come out in the Royal Rumble and win the Royal Rumble. If
I
that
could, I
happens,
could, I could see them. I could see the final three, maybe final four, being a combination of probably Kevin Owens, CM Punk, Reigns, and
Rollins.
And Rollins, and you have, I don't know,
or Adam Cole.
Or somebody, and then you have Seth Rollins super kicking CM Punk out of the ring, and then Roman throws over Seth Rollins to win it. So then you have the Seth Rollins CM Punk feud. Because there's no way, I don't see them letting Punk win it. I could see them dangling the carrot in front of his face and being like, haha, you got to go against Seth Rollins, fuck you. No main event.
Probably, you're right. Like I see, like there was early predictions here on Robreak for the Royal Rumble, but there you go. That's what we covered. Like you said, I don't know what they're gonna do with Bryan. Like probably like he feuds with somebody from NXT, that will be good. And maybe
I'd love to see Bryan. I'd love to see Bryan Punk at some point.
Yeah, that will be good.
This WrestleMania is too early. Like I said, everybody who says, "Oh, I want him at Mania," I've said it before on the channel. A couple videos back, probably even maybe 2 months ago, I said if I want to see any match with CM Punk, fuck Seth Rollins, fuck anybody else. Like I said, except maybe Daniel Bryan, as some dream matches. I want to see like him and Triple H at some point, and then he retires Triple H and he's done.
Yeah.
Not CM Punk. CM Punk can keep wrestling, but like that's the storyline I want to see.
And that will be a good way of Triple H saying, you know what, I screw you years ago, but this is me already putting you over and finally closing that chapter on a good note. Yeah. I'm righting that wrong. So I agree with you. Hopefully they do that. So then, Jean Paul, we have the hottest storyline. I gotta keep enunciating that, the hottest storyline. And you were afraid, and for a second you got me afraid that it was going to be the main event. Mr. Alexander Rusev against Bobby Lashley and Lana. Tables match.
All right, so let me just take us through this real quick. Rusev, he tries to bring a table in early on. Lana pulls it out, and then at that point, Lashley is able to beat down Rusev. He takes over, sets up a table on the outside. Rusev suplexes him onto the ramp. Lashley fights back, counters a table attempt by flipping it over, then sends Rusev into the steps. Lashley throws a table at Rusev when he's like leaned up against the ring post, and he dodges it, and that table like explodes. I mean, Lashley threw that thing hard as hell.
I thought that the match was over right there.
And what I was wondering is if that would have counted.
That because everybody was like, there was like 2 or 3 seconds that everybody's like, that broke.
Yeah, but like Rusev, he got out of the way, he dodged it. But like I said, I wonder if that would, because he wasn't going through the table. The table was technically going through him. Yeah. So it was one of those things. But
technicalities.
Yeah. So, but I mean, they already screwed up a technicality in that Viking Raiders match. So with the count out. So then Rusev and Lashley fight while the table is set up in the corner. Spinebuster on Rusev. Corner spear onto Rusev. Lashley brings in another table. Rusev counters a superplex attempt. Both men
they were kind of back and forth with like suplexes because they had 2 tables, correct? They had 2 tables
and then
both sides.
Rusev counters the superplex. Both men try to slam each other through a table, and then Rusev uses the steps on Lashley. This is on the outside. Then he grabs a guardrail. He like runs like next to the ramp and grabs a guardrail from the side, and then Lashley slams Rusev through the guardrail. They have it set up like a bridge onto the outside. On ringside, and then in the ring, Lashley beats down Rusev with a kendo stick. Rusev fights back and beats down Lashley. He uses the kendo stick. Then Machka kick on.
Machka kick.
Yep, and then Lana jumps on his back, starts like gouging the eyes and stuff. She jumps off. Rusev, he was slammed into the one table. It didn't break, but then I think Lashley suplexed him, or he did something where he like threw him over his back and then into the other table for the win.
And he did like he would flip him over, and then he fell and onto and he went through the table, and Lashley wins, and the feud probably is gonna continue going because this feud has to end when Rusev gets his win over Lashley and Lana. Match itself, out of all the matches, probably you will say one of the worst.
Yeah, it was definitely.
It didn't do much for me.
No, and like usually a match like this, and WWE is usually very good with making video packages that they can hype you for a match that you weren't normally as hyped about. And then, of course, when you watch the match, it lowers your hype and your excitement because the in-ring action is usually not very good. But like for this match, the video package was worse than the fucking match.
Oh yeah, like the
They
TMZ
do like
maybe.
like a TMZ tabloid style like video package, and it's like you didn't show any like intensity. It was all just the she cheats on him and she does this and that. The best thing about this match was when Lawler said
Oh,
about how the joke. Or he said
the
that
joke. Olympic.
Alana was always saying Rusev all he wanted was sex. They'd have sex in the limo, sex backstage. He's like, I know how that goes. My wife wanted Olympic sex, and they're like, Vic
What?
Joseph is like, he's like, King, what does Olympic sex mean? And he's like, sex every 4 years.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that was a drink moment right there. That was the best thing. Like
Yeah.
you could tell that like Big Joseph was trying to sell the match because
Mhm.
when Rusev had the candlestick, it's like Rusev, remember when Lana cheated on you? Remember what she did
Yeah.
for? And it's like when you can see Big Joseph is trying to root for Rusev, and it's like, oh, grab that strand and beat him up, like
Yep.
kick the shit out of him. But nope, they're like nobody's invested. This is
Yeah,
dumb.
that's what I mean. Like, nobody cares, and this is gonna continue this feud. I would not even be surprised if their blow off is at WrestleMania. This
Well,
will be a WrestleMania match. I'm calling it. They're gonna eliminate
if
each
they do
other.
that, they're probably listening to CM Punk, like you said in
Yep.
the previous predictions. Like they're probably listening to CM Punk because he said to go all the way to WrestleMania with this. I'm
I
like,
could
why
see
the
them.
hell you will go with this to WrestleMania?
I texted you. I wouldn't be surprised if they both fall through a table, and then
Yes,
it ends in a double, and then they continue the feud. Well,
yes,
now I think they're gonna continue it to the Rumble since that's only like a month away,
yeah.
and then they'll probably both eliminate each other in the
Each other,
Rumble,
yeah, and then we're gonna keep going,
and then they'll just go to
and
Mania.
then
So
it's gonna keep going, which is crappy. And then
so then
before the main event, we got
after,
some more backstage
yeah,
that
after
Roman,
this.
Baron Corbin keep going at each other.
Yeah, the Street Profits are talking about Lashley since he won and how he said he's going to marry Lana and that he should get a vasectomy so he doesn't want any Michael Phelps. They're just making their little jokes saying about swimmers. He doesn't want to get her pregnant.
It's sad to see the Street Profits in that kind of role because like
Yeah,
you're a tag team. Why the hell you try
yeah.
to be funny?
Yeah, and it's not like they are funny. Like some of the things they said, like I said on Monday Night Raw when they did the SNL skit, and they said how Corbin's dick is small. Like that was kind of funny. But like they're so talented that they don't need to be reduced to that.
Exactly.
That's what you do with a team like a Zack Ryder and a Kurt Hawkins or a B team, somebody who is like a job team. You give them that opportunity to get themselves over. And then once they're over with the crowd, they can go into the ring and wrestle and, get themselves over that way. But the Street
Exactly.
Profits are already over. They should be in actual feuds and programs, not
Yeah,
just
that's what I don't
backstage.
understand. Why they have to use these things, to get them over when they're already over. Like they're pretty,
Yeah,
good with the crowd and everything. So yeah, we got
exactly.
more backstage brawl between Roman Reigns and
Yep,
Baron Corbin because, like we said, this is the theme, and you always got to make Roman look
yep.
good.
And the one thing was the Revival were also there in this brawl, and so was the New Day. So probably 6-man main event on Friday: Roman and the New Day versus Corbin and the Revival.
Probably. Yeah, I see already Jean Paul is already giving you the main event of that show. If that happens to be, please hire this man.
Mm.
I don't mind, like he can do Roberg every now and in a while, but like he's already writing the whole show for you guys. So what's there for him to do? So main event time, finally.
Yep.
Kabuki Warriors and Charlotte Flair and Becky the Man Lynch.
Yep. So Becky and Charlotte at the start of this match, of course, because like I said, they're both super women, and the Kabuki Warriors are apparently jobbers. They just beat them
Are
down
trash,
early.
right? Are
Yeah, they
trash.
beat them down early on. Big boot from Charlotte to Kyrie Sane. Flair and Lynch stand on the announce tables, and they start throwing Kyrie Sane back and
I
forth.
didn't
With a
like
beach
that
ball.
spot because
No,
makes Kyrie look like crap.
dude, Kyrie looked like shit this whole match.
Yeah.
Some of it was her own fault. Most of it was the booking, but like I said, some of it was her own. Was like, ooh, I don't know what she's doing. Maybe when she took that chair to the lip, maybe it hit more of her brain and she concussed herself. But
I guess, yes.
so
Keep
then,
going.
like I said, they're throwing her back and forth like a freaking beach ball. Asuka throws a chair into the face of Charlotte. Once they're back in the ring, she hits Becky as well. Kyrie hits Flair with a chair and then drop kicks the chair into her face like Asuka's holding it in front of
Yes.
her face. They're doing like an RVD Sabu team up move. So kicks the chair into her face. Drop toe hold onto the chair and then a bulldog onto the ladder. This is Becky's
That was
doing
Becky
the
Lynch. Yeah.
Asuka. Yep.
Those spots were decent. Yeah,
Yeah.
those spots were good.
A power bomb attempt onto Asuka through a table, broken up by Kyrie. The Kabuki Warriors, then they get beat down. Flair and Becky set up a ladder. Then this is like the first
That's
major
when
spot of the match.
that's when the bullshit starts, because
Yeah,
I even texted Jean Paul. I'm like, what the f is going on?
yeah. So
Because Kyrie is trying to throw chairs onto
uh,
the ring, onto the ring, and he misses one of them or two of
yeah,
them.
I think two of them she threw. The first one she threw, it hit the top rope and it like slingshot it back and it caught her in the lip. I
And
guess
that's why
they say.
everybody's like, and you see
Yeah,
Charlotte and Becky just standing there like idiots, like,
yeah, they were like, yeah, because yeah,
so what do I do?
the whole crowd was like, ah, duh, when it hit her
Yeah,
in
they
the
were like,
face.
you fucked up, you
Yeah,
fucked up.
and that was it. Like, it almost looked like, like if she was standing further away, it would have made it in. But she didn't. Like, she should have threw it up instead of she was like throwing it like to the
Like a
side.
cross. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, yeah. And and,
So
and
then
then and then she was and then she kind of stops doing that, and then she gets in into the ring, right?
yeah,
She gets
she
underneath
crawls under the ring, and they're like, "Well, fuck that," and they go to pull her out. And then I actually like this. She comes out. She has the fire
the fire
extinguisher.
extinguisher. Yes,
Yeah, so she hoses them down, and then Asuka gets this giant like rope,
like
and then
rope.
she starts beating Becky with this rope. And then Becky gets a neck, looked like a neck breaker or something onto a chair or onto the ladder. I think it was chair or the
Yeah, they
ladder
did
or
that like the
something.
Kyrie did that spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they lock. They take like one of the desk chairs that has like the arms, or like the ring announcer's chair or somebody. They bring that out, and they kind of wedge the kendo stick in there to hold Charlotte. And
And
then
then Asuka
Asuka.
did some kicks onto that. Yeah, they were like, like the old school they were saying and during commentary.
Yeah, and then Asuka, she slams Becky onto the ladder, and then Kyrie, they use that rope, they tie her up. Charlotte tries to stop him, but Kyrie beats her down on the outside. And then at this point, when like Becky's tied to the ladder and Charlotte's being beat down, I'm like, why isn't one of them climbing the ladder?
I know.
There are so many moments in this match. It's like, why doesn't one of them just climb the ladder? And like you said, with the whole, I mean, obviously, like they book it and they got to go through their spots and this and that. But it's like when Kyrie was fucking up throwing those chairs, why didn't like Charlotte just hit a baseball slide onto Kyrie and Becky just grab a ladder and climb it and be done?
Yeah, like it's like they play stupid, and that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like they play dumb, and then and the whole crowd is eating it. Because they were actually after these spots that you are saying, they were like at some point they were like boo, they were boring. It's like it was just like you could tell that the match was sloppy. There was a lot of spots that it was like it came down really really bad.
Yeah, so then, like, yeah, I agree. And then eventually, like, they start to climb the ladder, but they play up, like, the heel thing. Like I said, they climb real slow, and they're laughing, and they're, like, mocking, the faces and, playing up their heel role. But then Charlotte, she makes a comeback. She starts beating it with a kendo stick. Asuka gets set into a table with chairs that's set up on the outside. Kyrie gets suplexed into the barricade. Flair goes to untie Becky, instead of going after the belts, which again, it was like a bullshit thing. I don't know what they're doing. And then Asuka and Kyrie, they beat down Charlotte. Becky somehow, she's able to counter both women while she's tied up, which I like because
Like I don't understand
yeah,
how that happens, right?
Kyrie goes to hit the elbow, but Becky gets the knees up, and then Asuka goes to grab her, and she kicks Asuka in the face. So then she's able to free herself, I guess, from the help when Charlotte tried to untie her early on. She must have loosened the ropes or
The
something.
ropes were ready to lose,
Yeah.
yeah, and then she's like, and there's the big comeback.
Yeah, so then Flair and Lynch, they set up the Warriors in chairs into the ring, and I guess they kicked them or they did something. I don't know if they
Flair did the big boot, and then
Yeah.
Lynch does the flying forearm.
Okay, yeah. And then so they knocked them both down, and then Lynch leg drops Asuka, or more like an ass drop. It wasn't like a senton. It was like a senton and a leg drop.
The intention probably was like the leg drop, but it came
Yeah.
down as an ass drop because
she just
the ass
yeah,
hit
like,
more like the leg.
yeah. So she
So
does
Rollins
that.
was probably happy.
Yeah, because he probably never gets that.
Yeah.
And then they slam Kyrie into the ring post, like her spine. They have her like horizontal, and they're slamming her into the ring post. Kyrie counters a table slam attempt into a double DDT, and then Kyrie lays them both on a table. This was a second botch, but I'm not going to blame Kyrie. I don't know if Charlotte was supposed to roll off or if that kind of just happened, but the girl weighs 98 pounds. She's like Riho, but at least she's legit. She does for an elbow drop. It doesn't break the table. She mostly just hits Becky with it. They said Charlotte rolled off, but I don't think she did. I think that was just like a
And see,
bop.
Samoa Joe did a very good job saying, because it's like, oh my gosh, it's like Charlotte's Flair is like so like quick. It's like it's like she's so mentally quick that like she was able to move right away. It's like you
Yeah.
can see the how like her experience, how like she was able to move. So she could see the move coming, and then she could just move out of the way, and then she only hit Lynch. But like you said, that was a complete botch.
Yeah, and then after that, Kyrie gets power bombed through a table. Asuka hits a German suplex onto Charlotte to the outside.
Yes.
And Asuka, she buries the other team in ladders and chairs. I wish she actually buried them in the matches on Monday Night Raw, like should have happened, but instead she buries them here with the chairs and the ladders. And then she checks on Kyrie, wants helps her up so then she can have some backup as one of them climbs for the belts. They get a ladder into the ring. Becky and Charlotte, they start to beat down the Kabuki Warriors with chairs. The crowd actually was booing at this point because I feel like they thought the match was going to end. And then because I do the quotes, faces come back into the ring, the crowd is like booing because they're like, no, like we don't want to.
Because Becky was starting to hit the back exploder. He hit the back exploder. She kept doing that, and it's true. Like everybody's went boo, and I was booing because I'm like, this kind of sloppy. Like, please end this.
Yeah, so
it's
then
not good.
Right at the end of this thing, she uses the rope onto Asuka, starts beating her down, and then Becky starts climbing the ladder, and like you think, oh, here it is, she's gonna win, but that rope is still tied onto the ladder.
But Asuka just pulls the rope, and then to move the ladder, and then Becky falls.
Yeah, she kind of gets like stun gunned or whatever you want to call it, and her like face into the rope.
Yeah.
So then she's done, and then Asuka she climbs up, unhooks the I don't even know what you want to. Yeah, the belt, but she unhooked like the hanger, like the
hook.
Shirt.
Yeah, unhooks the hook.
Yeah, doesn't it just look like a shirt hanger to you? It has like the hook and
yeah. And to me, and they did it in kind of like stupid way now because like the only thing you gotta grab is the belt. You don't need to grab the hook.
Well, that was probably because like I don't. Well, no, she was in the TLC match last year, but maybe because it's both belts, it was just easier to do it that way. But anyway, so like I said, this match overall, at least the right team won. At least the Kabuki Warriors won, and now hopefully they just move on, and there's nothing to do with Becky and Charlotte. Hopefully the Kabuki Warriors can just feud with another actual team instead of just two singles, main event women. They should be doing their own program, getting other stars over. They shouldn't just be fighting for the belts every week. But some good spots, some sloppy spots. And then, of course, like as soon as Asuka unhooks that and it's done, you think, oh, we're going to see the Kabuki Warriors celebrate this and that. No. Literally not even 2 seconds after she unhooks it, Vic Joseph is like, the Kabuki Warriors retain. Immediately, camera cuts to Corbin and Reigns, and the entire locker room is out there. Everybody's brawling. And Roman spears Corbin off the stage or the ramp or something into the pile of guys, maybe 15, 20 guys. He spears him. They all fall down. TLC WWE copyright logo comes up, and I turned off my TV, and I was done.
Shows goes off the air. Like, absolutely, and I will say this to you, Jean-Paul. I will say, like, why in the hell this man is so powerful that he can overcome 15 men? Is that spear that powerful? What about
that's what I mean, like, because like the Viking Raiders were out there. It wasn't like it was all just Corbin's bodyguards and his goons, his lackeys. Like there was legit wrestlers.
His spear can overcome Ivar.
Yeah, that's it. And the thing that pisses me off the most, like I know, like we're just gonna see this in 3 weeks for the Royal Rumble build. You're telling me you're not gonna see Roman? He's gonna do his signature dive onto the entire SmackDown locker room at the go home show for the Royal Rumble. Are you going to tell me we're really not going to see that? So why do we need to see it at TLC? It's so fucking stupid, and you just take away the moment because you wanted this to be the main event, and you heard the fan backlash where you say if there's a fucking non-title match or a match that doesn't have a champion in it in the main event and it's Roman Reigns, people are going to riot. So they're like, Vince, we better not do this. And he's like, okay. But we're still going to have this fight, and that's the last thing people are going to see. Because, God forbid, the last thing we see is two Asian women holding the belts.
Probably.
At the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this concludes the pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view of the decade, and
Hmm.
our conclusion is that like the pay-per-view was decent at most.
Yeah,
I don't. We definitely don't. I don't like to do this too often in the show, but I really gotta shout out Nick Sokolovic. He's a good friend, a fan of the show, and like he just wrote a really great article about our show on Facebook. So thank you so much for
oh,
doing
that's
that,
badass.
hyping us out. So thank you so much, Nick, because he believes in us, and he's saying like if you're a wrestling fan and want to do a power walk without tearing both quads, subscribe to my homies YouTube channel Robert. They good fellas.
Yeah,
So
that's
thank you so
badass.
much, Nick. We do this because of people like you who believe in us. Jean Paul and I, we're trying to do our hardest every single week. We put our souls, our bodies. Like right now it's 11:15. We're still talking about professional wrestling from the
Hmm.
moment that we wake up to the moment that we go to bed. So that's what we're gonna do. Remember, guys, to check us out. We have a whole week of videos. We have a Jean Paul Raw. He has a AEW Dynamite. We have a NXT, we have Smackdown, we have previews and predictions for TLC. Right now, you're seeing the review for TLC. And
Yep.
yesterday, we did a great video on the NWA Into the Fire. So,
Yep. Their
guys,
first pay per view. And before we get out of here, like, do you think that moving forward? Do you think this next decade? Do you think we're gonna have any? Do you think the first pay per view is gonna be any good, or you think it's gonna be more of the
I
same?
just think it's going to be the same. I
More of
think
the
that like, the
same.
pay-per-views are going to start changing
Hmm.
a little bit on February because on February Vince is going to shift his focus onto the XFL. So that's
I
what
mean,
I
I,
think it's
I
going
can
to be.
only hope.
So
But
you got to
until
thank the
then,
XFL for that.
we're along for the ride.
We're along for the ride because Robrick, wrestling never stops and neither do we. And you know
Hmm.
that Robrick never sleeps. And if you see like, my eyes looking like this is because I don't sleep too good because all the love that I have for you and Jean Paul also. All are just, we're trying to make this show the best way possible for you guys. So Jean Paul, I think it's time for us to go because we gotta take care of some other stuff.
Yep,
So
I think it's time to get out of here.
it's time to get out of here, but just don't forget that you can find us on the social media world. You can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Twitter, you can find us on Instagram, and here on the YouTube channel. So in the name of Jean Paul, in the name of myself, I just want to say,
Ah,